Peace and Black Power family. Welcome to another episode of New Knowledge Radio on YouTube, broadcasting live for this long awaited, highly anticipated, super duper collab with my brother like no other. Rawyal is in the building. So we about to
Yes,
get this
yes.
live, about to get live started. False Flag 2 becomes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce the sub and present the others. Uh, holds no punches, uh, a teacher, a mentor, a father, someone who stands truly for our people, truly for the minds and hearts of our people. I speak of none other than my brother, Royale, in the building. Peace, Jay, what's going on?
Yeah, peace. What's up with you, man?
Trying to be like you when I grow up, you know?
We already there. Man. We already there. Word. What up to everybody? What up to the family? You
Yeah.
know, we can get.
We've been at this back and forth for a couple of years now, and you done pull yeah, Stradamus, you know what I'm saying, joints on us. You see what I'm saying? So we back
Right.
here to kind of analyze some of the things that's going on. But for them two people out there in the world that don't know why don't you share, some of your story with the fan?
All right. One more time. You was going out.
Why don't you share some of your info with the fan, man? A brief introduction of yourself.
Okay. So, musician, artist, um, you know, activist, father. Pretty much. From the intro, all of those things are, thankfully true. Um, Pretty much at this point, I'm at the point where we're just, I'm walking that fine line of, so, not to overdo it, I kind of feel like I left my music part abandoned for a little bit, just to get a message across, because we had like a small window of opportunity to get a lot done. So I took it, I did the best I could with that opportunity by deciphering and decoding. That's another one of the lessons that I'm able to do is see through the fog, see through the matrix, and kind of put the pieces together in real time. And pretty much 9 out of 10 things that I done predicted or forecasted, prophesized, however you want to word it, has come true and have been verified, certified by, whether you want to say Wall Street Journal, AP News, um, and the list goes on. Because after I say it, a month or so later, they come out and say pretty much exactly what I said. And maybe they might embellish a little bit more, but so at this point, thank you. At this point, it's just the only thing that's left to do is just get the family prepared for the next wave. Because we lost one of the elders who had who somewhat had that gift too. Dr. The Honorable Dick Gregory, like that. So what I do is from music, art, I think out of the box. So although this is false flags, this is really about freeing your mind. So wherever you want to start, if there's any questions or anything like that, I'm ready to go wherever the family's ready to go, and just build from there.
Well, I definitely wanted to start with getting your thoughts. We come from background in regards to our grand decoders,
Mhm.
thoughts, and in regards to Baba Dick Gregory, uh, share some of that, and we can just go from there.
Mhm. Okay, so pretty much you were saying my thoughts on Baba Dick Gregory is what you were saying. Okay. Well, first, it's a great loss to the community. Um, when you have an elder spokesman, that bridged a lot of gaps. From I did like a little montage on my page on my YouTube page, um, just showing from him connecting with Michael Jackson, Bob Marley, to all pretty much everybody got to know. Everyone knows the history of Dick Gregory. Hopefully at this point, and unfortunately, what I say is you probably just got to mute the mic or something because I'm getting like super feedback. Unfortunately, what I call it right now is I say it's a bad time to die. Uh, Reason being, you can see that although uh, Dick Gregory put a lot of information forth, and he gave his heart and soul like many others before him or during his time. That unfortunately around this time we're in the cloud era where things last as long as a cloud does. You know, it's trending and then it disappears. So maybe Michael Jackson probably was the last one to get a good honorable send off. Where you see as Prince was just as huge and just as loved as Michael Jackson, but unfortunately he passed away during the age of deception. So when you get in, someone as great as Dick Gregory, who so many times put his life on the line for the people, and then you see how what pretty much people just posted a picture and left it at that. You see, and the mainstream media pretty much fell silent, or maybe a small article because right around the same time you got the passing of Jerry Lewis, right? So and then they pale in comparison because Jerry Lewis, was a different type of comedian, different type of philanthropist, and to the very last day, in his very last days, you got Dick Gregory, laying it on the line and trying to lift up our people and give information to our people and decipher and decode things to the best of his ability, whatever knowledge that he had, and at this point, the only, in our community that was pretty much doing what he was doing or doing a little, just as, maybe a little more with that same science as me. And I was probably a lot more accurate than he was, but at the same time, he opened the eyes of people that I couldn't reach. So, so for me, it's just it gets a little tricky because he was like a buffer for the machine. So if the machine is looking, they go into him first because that's where all the people was at. So whereas I was able to give the information and then people run away with it, but if Dick Gregory says it, then people kind of run with it, a lot easier or whatever. So at this point, it's like, man, the buffer is gone, so the machine is, like the eyes or the eye is, the focus is a lot more focused, say here, even to you see how we started the day with the Facebook shutdown. So it's made things even a little tricky to even post and promote. So at this point, I would just would definitely want everybody to understand that we lost a great pillar to our community. With Dick Gregory, we lost a great pillar to our community when Dr. Sebi passed, and Dick Gregory was another pillar in our community that deserve all honors and respects and to the utmost, and however a send off, whatever you can do to send off, please do, or please share maybe the montage video or share information that he wanted to pass on. There's so much enlightening information that he has. So pretty much at this point, my heart goes out to his family and and all the loved ones that he touched. And pretty much that's it that I have right now.
Station with the bombs, man. That was bombs, Royale. You know what I'm saying? That was bomb-tastic, bomb-worthy. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Yeah. I mean, Dick Gregory. You know, my mother. She was a student of Dick Gregory, so I
Mm.
remember meeting Dick Gregory ever since I was a young child. You know, ever since I was around 8 years old, and my Bob Dick Gregory been telling them jokes since then. You know what I'm saying? Since before
Mm.
my time. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, I, he said when white folks ask me what I be thinking about, I just be thinking about I done live all these years on the earth and I ain't never seen a baby pigeon. You know,
Right.
and and with his approach and his style, and he was so spirit led. Wherever his particular message was resonating from, he tapped into somebody's spirit in the audience. So if you seen him live, he'd tell you, you know,
Hmm.
who it was that gave him that inspiration for that particular way to go. And also, uh, he was the first man I ever met who told me not to swallow toothpaste. You know what I'm saying? And said that it was written on the tube. Had a brother come up and read it, like, hey, you know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Harmful if swallowed. You know what I mean? Like, it was written on the tube of the toothpaste. You know, and I'm like, man,
Mm.
yeah, you get accustomed to doing this. Your whole life. You see what I'm saying? And you get that. Uh, the light comes on. You see, so and taught us how to read the paper. I was a little young pup. You know what I mean? Taught us how to read the
Mm.
paper. You know, uh, breaking stuff down, and then throw a joke in there and say, "Hey, I just be wondering what happened to albinos after high school." You see what I'm saying? Like he just, you know what I'm saying? They throw some joints in there, to make you think. And his frame of reference was so ill. Like sometimes he didn't come for the people, but he came to the people,
Mm.
and he would always use his mother as a reference. My mother was asking me, she don't have no architecture's degree, and have this, millions of dollars that they make it in regards to he was speaking about the towers. And it's like, the explanation that they gave on the news was the the heat of the towers that was heating up and blah 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 blah, and that's what caused the towers to fall. And he said that he said to him, like, well, how come the second one fell before the first one? You see what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
the type of care that he would use to about what you're thinking about
Hmm.
is something, eerie feeling about something. You ain't feel right about it, and he would come with the infamous thing. He would come with the smoking gun. You know what I mean? When they're trying to get you, that if they want to convict you of murder, they use motive, means, and opportunity. You see what I'm saying? So they go through them, yeah, and he would give you the motive, the means, and the opportunity. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes just using the papers to do it. So he he definitely was an inspiration to those who were decoders. You see what I'm saying? I know Baba Azariah was one of those brothers as well, along with Black Dot and Casey the Arch Degree. Those magnificent minds that would decode. Baba Steve Coakley, Baba Dale Jones, that would give it to you straight, no chaser. So Dr. Amos Wilson, Dr. Bobby E. Wright, Dr. Francis Cress Wilson, all of those in that same vein and lane and spirit, who were seen as many of us, because you know as we still see today, many of us just want to go along to get along. You know what I mean? Like, not make waves, and your existence is a wave to your enemy. That's how he's able to do the things that he does. But if we can get into some of the false flags. Like it's so much stuff that had happened since part one. I don't know where you want to go with it. Sift through, some of the things and break some things down in regards to some of the events that have taken place since you
Hmm.
know a year, almost two now, almost two now. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
almost 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Almost 2 years. I mean, uh, it's a lot of it's pretty much the conversation that we had almost 2 years ago. Um, Pretty much everything happened as predicted. You know, if anybody goes back and listens to that footage or check out the video, the editing of just so because the audio was there, but the visual is kind of what helped people see. If there was any disbelief there, any disbelief that was left. So with that last conversation, just explaining how they was going to get at people with the RGB flags, pretty much, the attack of, the strategic attacks of Africa um, throughout the states, pretty much everything that we spoke about at that point. And with with the paradigm being altered with Trump winning the election, uh, it's a little trickier at this point. Okay, it's a little trickier. Before the election, I was on 2 Fifth talking to some of the brothers, and they asked me what did I think about the upcoming election of Trump and Hillary. They was like, what do you think if this person won or this person won, right? So I told them ahead of time. I said, listen, if Hillary wins, the states will be okay. It's going to be an international problem, meaning Africa, throughout the world is where the military and the focus will really be on. It will be on the Trilateral Commission will be running rampant on on putting new sanctions on countries and bombing and droning, etc. That will be ramped. Everything what out of the country, everything outside of the U.S. will be ramped up, right? And the U.S. would be smooth sailing in comparison, right? And I said, if Trump wins, Trump is national opposed to international, like Hillary. Whereas Hillary has, those international ties and international connections. Not saying Trump doesn't, but his ties and connection don't ring as hard as hers. And even if she would have attempted to be good, once in a blue here and there or whatever the case is, her what I say is the administration is never the president of this corporation called the United States. It's always the administration. Who's running the administration? So while they're smiling in your face is the people that you would call, they always say, the Obama administration, the Bush administration, the Trump administration. So that's the key word when you hearing to what's going on. So the administration and most of those people that's in the administration this go round are U.S. gangsters. You got what I'm saying? Meaning they, that's why, some of the first things that was done with things that would affect basically the U.S. People coming into the U.S., whether it's the travel ban or anything, everything was just national. Everything just ramped up nationally because my prediction was the fact that being Trump is national, most of the issues would be statewide. In comparison in comparison to what could have or would have happened internationally, if Hillary would have came into play, came into office as a U.S. president. Also, one of my conversations, which you could even look on the Rawyal exclusive Facebook page, and you'll see, excuse me, as the header is America versus the United States, or the United States versus America, right? And that you have the corporation versus the country, and that's where we at. Okay, because I said it's a reality show. So what do we have now? We have a reality star TV, running the United States president, the United States corporation, and then you have the country, America. So pretty much we're all now living in America versus the United States. Now, who won? America won. right? America won. The United States lost. No matter how you chalk it up, the United States lost. They lost the election. They lost on so many different fronts, right? But uh, the word America get thrown around as if it's the United States. You know, the same way, you would hear, child support, and people be like, oh, that's about your child. No, everything is about everything. Just because it has a title that says, Dollar Tree, you can't go in Dollar Tree and find trees. You understand? You're not going into Dollar Tree finding trees. You're going in and finding everything other than, because it's just a simple name. It's just a simple title for a business, for a corporation. So the United States have co-opted the name America. You understand? Like everything else, like the word black, like all of our words are usually co-opted and flipped and then used against usually us, usually people of color. And at this point, with the country and the way that things are going and the way people are looking at, they say, oh, America this, America that, America hates us, America's doing this to people. It's not America doing any of those things. So that's why when you go to court, if you don't understand what you're saying and, and you try to bring like my conversation of reparations, you try to bring that to any court internationally, nationally, and you go up, and you say, America owes us. That's why my conversation is always, you'll always take a loss because you're saying you owe yourself. And then they laugh you out of court and they say, okay, get your shit together, and they send you out of there. So understand where we at is Trump threw up the Black Power fist during his inauguration. Trump threw up the power to the people fist after his inauguration. You understand? And they put it on the front of the New York Times, excuse me, the Time magazine, right? They put it on the front of the Time magazine. And I saved it specifically for that. You understand? And the reason why they was able to, the reason why they put it on the front is because to show that people are not paying attention and people are not actually as focused as they need to be. You got what I'm saying? So, what's happening is you got people that's looking at it like, oh, it's just business as usual, sort of, but not really, because at this point it's a different alternative administration. It's an alternative ending. It's an alternative. That's why you get an alternative right, alternative this, and alternative alt, right? Alt right, alt left, alt this, whatever the case is. It's you had the initial administration, which was that stemmed from the Kennedy assassination. You had the initial administration that stretched back to Hitler's time. You got what I'm saying? The SS, the CIA, the Secret Service, all the way to what you would say is the Kennedy assassination. Now, this new administration is a different type of gangster. It's the real estate gangsters. It's the different. These guys are different businessmen compared to the other gangsters that was in office. You got what I'm saying? So the other gangsters were they were assassins. They were they were oil guys. So that's why even Lyndon Johnson's wife said, "Nah, the guys who killed Kennedy were the oil guys." You got what I'm saying? So these guys had a really sick run. They had an amazing run for however many years, and all the way up to the Obama administration. That was their run. That was their final stronghold, and they got trumped by Donald Trump. Who's also who's German heritage. Can go back and probably tie to everybody else, but at the same time, his his paradigm is a lot different from the Obama or the Hillary paradigm. You got what I'm saying? So now where we at is you have this reality of it's whatever the people want is what the people get. You have a computer that's taking in all types of data and information that's saying whatever, because it's not people just sitting around waiting for you to say this and that. Not saying that there's not people that's monitoring or watching the computers and but not that there's no manpower involved, but there's these supercomputers that run off of what you would call petaflops. That's like the fastest, like instead of gigabytes, it's called petaflops. Instead of terabytes, it's petaflops, right? So I believe 100 terabytes or 1,000. You could look it up, but they're running off of petaflops. So the fastest supercomputers are taking in all of this information from the Facebooks, from the Instagrams, from all the different sites, and they're using they compute all of this information, and then they give the people back whatever they want, because the computer, you got to look at it like a child, right? Whatever information you pour in that child's mind is what the child repeats, and the child give you back what you gave that child. And when the child does wrong, you can correct the child, but if you never correct the child will continue on with the bad habits into adulthood. So now, you have a corrupt system with these supercomputers that's dumped into the business world. Then you got the military that have its own, supercomputers that's faster than the ones that they're getting rid of. That's dumped into the public, and you're it's on both ends. Most people that shun off the Bible and all types of conspiracies, etc. They forget the reason why the Bible and the conspiracy, the main conversation of Bible thumpers and conspiracy heads. The main thing was watch out for the 666, watch out for the chip, watch out for the chip. And I'm not saying, six protons, six. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when they say the mark of the beast, right? When they say watch out for the mark of the beast. But on the conspiracy side, it's not the mark of the beast. It's it's the chip. It's the RFID chip, and then you had, even to a point where the news admitted that, listen, this is what we're going to do. We got the chip ready, and we're going to predict that it's going to be here by 2017. So this is the year of the RFID chip. This is the year the RFID chip was predicted to be put in play. Something happened where their guy, Hillary, their girl, didn't get the spot. So even the Affordable Care Act, which they labeled Obamacare, which is that's not the name of it. The Affordable Care Act that was initially put in by the by the Clintons, by Bill Clinton, that in that bill, the chip was in there. The chip was in there. So only recently, before Obama left, I believe he signed that off. Like, okay, we're going to get this out of here, right? But when Trump comes in, whatever information, wherever he collects his data from. Some people say, obviously he has a relationship, some sort of relationship with Alex Jones. So his relationship with Alex Jones and all of Alex Jones information and whatever the case is, all of that stuff, whether he takes it on face value, he repeats some of it. And when he repeats some of these things, it kind of ruffles feathers. And what one of the trump card that the prior administration has is the media. And if you know anything about the protocols of Zion, if you know anything about the learned elders of Zion, anything about Willie Lynch theory, et cetera, et cetera. If you listen to early Malcolm X, if you listen to Dr. Amos Wilson, you'll hear them say the media can control the narrative. Once you control the narrative, you can create the heroes, the villains, and you get the results that you want, right? Because you created the trap, you created the game. They create the game, and they say, okay, when Trump says something like, Washington owned slaves, so did Thomas Jefferson. Should we take those down? And people say, fuck you, Trump. And it's like, he just told you the truth. And you said, fuck Trump for telling you the truth. You got what I'm saying? So, and that's because the perpetuation of, of it perpetuates the temperament of its players. So the temperament of the players is whatever he says and does has to be wrong. So as he's doing and saying things that may benefit the public and benefit the people, what the people are doing are uh not even they're not addressing issues. They're not co-signing issues. Uh they're attacking Trump as a man, which gets nothing done. So you attack Trump as a man, okay, which helps the media, which helps the prior administration, which helps push you back into certain types of oppressions, whatever the case is. Because, you know, how I stand on Trump, I'm neither for him or against him. It's just another president of the United States. It is no side that I can personally take, because I have no personal attachment to, you know, this president that can be replaced at any given time. It's just business. So when you think of it, you know, on a business stance, you say, okay, look, if he's saying, let's address the issues, and then the people are attacking him for addressing the issues, then you got to say, wow, having a march in Atlanta, you know, just because a march in Atlanta against Trump saying the president. You understand? I don't know if people understand how much money and how much time and organization and the things that go into pulling off something like marches and rallies and things like that. It takes a lot to do these things. It takes a whole lot, you know, to pull off, you know, marches and rallies. You got what I'm saying? So when you think about where's the money coming from, you know, and a lot of people say, oh, George Soros and this and that, or whatever the case is, the money's there. You know, the money's there. You know, I have a conversation. I got a couple of, you know, videos, and I had, you know, that I'm, you know, pulling together and putting together, where you see where I say, look, the beginning of the year started off with a march for Margaret Sanger, for the Planned Parenthood. That was the beginning of the year. So that was a telltale sign of what was to come. Okay. At the beginning of the year, if you have a march for Margaret Sanger, you got all type of people that showed up because it was the popular thing to do, because they was told to go there, because everybody else was doing it. You know, so everybody's out there, yeah, you know, whatever they try to change the name to, but the big banner said Planned Parenthood. Remember, Planned Parenthood is eugenics. That's from what I remember. I thought Planned Parenthood was eugenics. Now you got all types of people, you know, that go out and say, okay, you know, we going out for Colin Kaepernick. You know, we marching and we protesting and we standing with him. What the fuck does that got to do with you? You understand? Football have not stopped. The players are still playing. The stadiums are even more packed because the goofy shit. You got what I'm saying? So I get it. I understand. The idea is, you know, people just want to be a part of something, you know, but at the same time, the reality is, you know, you got these people that are creating these scenarios and pretty much laughing at us. There's a picture coming out, and I don't know. I don't even know the title of it. You know, I just seen a poster somewhere in New York City of blindfolded clowns. Now I can't even read the title, so that's neither here nor there. That's not even. It's just a picture of a group of clowns looking up at the sky, but they're looking up with blindfolds, and their faces are painted like clowns. Now, this is $1 million campaign. You know, you understand? This is $1 million campaign because this is what society looks like uh, to the 1%. You know, this is what society looked like to what you would call, you know, the 5%. You know, or the people that's enlightened. When you see society championing some of the worst, some of the worst conversations that you know, that the media begins and initiates. So, you know, just alone, you know, when you think about how the year started with the Margaret Sanger, with the march, the fundraiser for Planned Parenthood, and then you know, and then you start the year with Trump giving the Black Power fist, or the power to the people fist, and then people taking advantage of the fact that you actually have a voice and you'll be able to get things done, because if you all if you all say we want clean water, we want clean air, if you actually begin the conversation with things that opposed to attacking the president, if you have conversations about solutions or things that you actually need, the computer has no choice but to address it. Now, obviously, they can counter some of these conversations. You see earlier in the day, Facebook is an international platform, so I'm sure a lot of people was affected when Facebook shut down. So they can shut down these social media sites. So that's why I say it behooves you to take all of this stuff serious. It behooves you to take what you post on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all the social media sites, all these social media platforms. It behooves you to take it serious. Um, Up in Harlem, Meek Mill comes out to Harlem. You got what I'm saying? He was in New York City to do a show. He comes out to Harlem, and what happens? He's riding his bike, and and as he's riding his bike, one of his guys or somebody was filming it. So as his guy is filming it, what happens? The next day, not the day of, but the next day, NYPD approaches him, it stops his car, approaches him, and says, "Hey, we seen you riding the bike." And he's like, "Yeah, but I'm not on a bike right now." No, 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 no. We seen you you posted it on it. We seen it. We watched it. Because if you know anything about Obama's trip to New York City, NYPD showed him the huge screen that they have. A room look better than the Matrix, better than the Matrix. It looked like a high tech version of the Matrix. They got this huge theater like room with cameras all over it and all type of high tech technology, and all of these guys sitting in the sitting with desks, but instead of just having a seats, they all have their own computers. But there's a huge where the movie screen would be. It's several screens, TV screens that help with all the cameras that throughout the city, and they can go. So they showed this to Obama, to the president, to the former president Obama, right? So that's a large percentage of the people that's watching Instagram and watching Facebook and collecting the data, right? So all this data collection goes to the local houses, to the local precincts, to the state, to the feds, and then to this supercomputer out in Arizona. And it stores all of this information, and then it takes all of these things into consideration on who and what's next, and how they approach the next conversation. So when they approached Meek Mill and said, "Hey, we seen you on Instagram," right? That- that's just showing you, like, at least the police is taking it serious. The police is taking it serious because, most people just think, they just think like, ah, nah, it's just me connecting and showing what I do. Right? They're picking up they're taking track of your habits, your all your contact. They pretty much at this point, I'm sure all of our contacts, it's like a tree. They figure out who we talk to, who's our family. That's already figured out. So you can't really, unless never had a computer, unless you never was online, unless you never had a phone, you know more than likely you had one. You already tied into this system. You're already webbed into this system. But that example of Meek Mill was just a prime example of showing you that they're watching. And I know they made an example of him just because he's a high profile mainstream artist, a mainstream rapper, you know, and a black man, but anybody who knows and can make sense of of our everyday conversation as far as false flags and what's going on, that would just show you, like, oh, they see what we're paying attention to. They're paying attention to us. So if they want to make a problem, or you want to make a problem, then they'll just go down, they'll scroll down and see who's who, what's what, and the biometrics conversation has been a conversation that I've been having, as far as soon as I uh, realized what was going on when they created that false flag, and they created that conversation about the man out, Rudy Eugene, out in Florida. So when they create these false flags, so just a reflection of what the conversation is, right? My conversation is to free your mind, because when they create these traps that our people glorify as, I'm in the trap, I'm this, I'm trapped out, bop, 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 right? When they create these traps, the end result usually is like a slaughterhouse. So as you jumping around and flossing like a sheep or a cow or a pig in their traps, in their trap house, at the end of the day, you get slaughtered. You get abused, you get slaughtered. It's continuous oppression. So I'm saying, how about this? Let's avoid the traps. Let's avoid putting our children into a worse condition than we were put in. Our generation is dropping the fucking ball. We're dropping the ball because we got a couple of more opportunities to get something done. Okay, what can we get done after we goofed? I'm grouping myself in because I'm still a part of my generation, right? So I'm gonna group myself in when we say we dropped the ball for the reparations during a black president. That that has to be the biggest joke, probably forever, that we didn't bring up, and we didn't really break through with the reparations conversation in 8 years. In 8 years, with 8 years with a black president, black people, black people did not feel reparations was a priority, right? 8 years, black people. I'm not. I don't even want to include anybody else. Did not feel getting Assata Shakur pardon was a priority. Didn't feel getting H. Rap Brown pardon was a priority. Getting Mumia, all the political prisoners pardon was not a priority. Okay, at the very end, what wind up happening. Some people was like, "Oh, I think he's going to do it." At the end, you think he's going to do it, but nobody. Like, you got to realize the point of this conversation is the fact that false flags and all of everything that's done is done off of algorithms of whatever we pay attention to. So because there was no massive cry, massive rally to get any of these things done, and when it was done, it was our people that countered us. It was our people. Like, I had to create a full video just to take notes, and I got another video just to take notes that when we bring up the reparations conversation, every and all types of people, our people. I don't care about everybody else. All types of people attacked, saying "fuck you" and "fuck reparations." You got what I'm saying? Like, so that is what so that conversation, as it started to bubble up, because it made it to the mainstream news, it made it to the Bill Myers conversation, and then fast forward now. Okay, now they say they feel like they neutralized the reparation conversation for 8 years. They high-fived each other, right? So now here we are, new president, new conversation. The same players are still in play. What does Bill Myers says? He says the crazy quote that he said. That's crazy comment that he said about the black woman. About black people, whatever, about house nigga or some shit like that, right? So, which is a joke to him. It's all a big joke to these people. As people, are taking it light and laughing, these guys are taking it serious and laughing at us for not taking it serious. You got what I'm saying? So, um, my thing is, where can we go from here? There's a few small things that we can accomplish with our generation before the next generation have to pick up the slack, right? Because the next generation has been, they're almost traumatized by what our generation has been through. Like, they have the PTSD because of what we went through, because we were victims of the crack era. We were victims of, the leftover heroin era into the crack era, and now into the pills. But our generation was not only bombed with the crack, it was also we was also attacked with all type of new technology, all types of we was experiment on in ways that prior generations didn't have to experience because the technology wasn't there. Now, yeah, we still got prisons like the prior generation had prisons. We still get shot like prior generation got shot. We still get targeted like the prior generations get targeted. But this generation also there's all types of new food poisoning that the prior generation didn't have to go through. There's all types of technology that the prior generation didn't have to go. We got the full force of everything that from the past and what's to come for the future. So whoever is left as survivors, whoever's left, including myself, anyone who hears this program, is us that's left. We're the survivors. How we survive. We're the ones that's left over. Okay, so I say, okay, um, if you don't fit in the system, or if you don't fit here, make your own lane. That's my conversation. I put it all in the music, and I try to make it as cool as possible. But the messages are always there. I don't just make the music just because, like, oh, I just want to be a rapper. Like, no. It's like, I know some people don't listen to conversation. Some people don't want to hear a lecture. Some people don't want to, they not socializing, so they put their headphones in, they listen to whatever's the latest music, and that's it. So I try to make the music, I try to put the not try, do my best to put the message in the music and make it as cool as possible, the same way the Marvin Gaye's, the Sam Cooks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You got what I'm saying? So just to reprogram the subconscious, because that's how they're attacking us. We got the subliminal attacks, which is triggered by the false flags. They'll create a false flag which triggers something in your subconscious, which triggers either fear or anger, disgust, or some type of self-hate is what it usually does, right? So that's really where our people are mostly affected. So now, what's left to do? I say this: a few small things that we could get accomplished. I believe one of our prior conversations on your other blog station was, there's a spell on, do you feel Black women are under a spell? Do you feel Black women, are putting you under pressure? Do you feel they're holding too much? They're bearing too much of the burden of our people. Well, women are the pillars of nations. Women are the pillars of nations, right? So the recent conversation about the statues, we have to take advantage of that. We have to take advantage of anything that we can use to tear down and get the propaganda out of the way, to get the programs that program our people to make poor decisions. Any toxic program that's in throughout society, if we're given an opportunity to correct a toxic, to remove a cancer, to remove these toxic programs, take advantage of it. Don't be like, man, that's not important. Shut your dumb ass up and figure out which statue you're gonna stand in front of to say, yeah, take this one down too. You got what I'm saying? Because the human brain sees images first, right? That's how the human subconscious reads the images. As complicated as the human brain is, the human brain is able to put things together faster than you can actually consciously think about what you just seen. So these images are triggered. They can genetically trigger something. They can trigger certain emotions that you don't even understand. Yo, why am I angry anytime I'm in this area? How come when I'm over here, the energy's wrong or the energy's bad? Because the way things are positioned, the propaganda, the posters, the statues, all of these different things are to program your subconscious, to program your brain into oppression, into depression. So when you get an opportunity to remove some of these images, some of these programs, oh, let's do so. Okay, so I say right now, there's the statue of the Black woman. Now, this is to me a part of the curse of why we feel A lot of our women are asleep, are not conscious to what's going on until the very last minute, if ever. Okay. Now, if you have a problem with how the woman is, then you got to blame the father. But if you got a problem to how the child is, who grows up to be the father, then you got to blame the mother, right? But then if you got a problem how to the household, then you got to blame the system. But then, but then at the same time, there's nobody that can, be held accountable for how the system runs. So then you say, okay, all right, look, we got to be smart about this. We got to be smart, because you just can't be, randomly saying it's the system, it's the system, it's the system. Okay, so the system is saying, okay, you want to fix it? You want to fix the system? And then you say, nah, fuck Trump. No, dummy. I said the computer's not going to give you, but so many opportunities before it adjusts to what you're talking about. You got what I'm saying? Because once they remove him, what do you think is going to change? What do you think is going to change? You know, except the name, except the name that's sitting on the desk, or the name on a Twitter account. You understand? It doesn't. So when you have an opportunity like, yo, small opportunity like, hey, remove the statue. Well, if you into voodoo, if you know anything about voodoo, or you know anything about voodoo dolls, or creating what you call those things, shrines, and all things when you honor the dead and honor your ancestors, etc., etc. Now, our ancestors, we were into perfection, and we were we built pyramids, right? So, but we honored our men and women, our greats, our elders. We honored the people. We honored our people with statues to say thank you for your time. That we create a statue, and they would live on forever. Even within the tombs, you know, there were pretty much the carvings. It wasn't just they was put in a box and dropped 6 feet below. No, they would put in the box, and then there was a box on top of that, which was artwork, and artwork on top of that, which was a statue, artwork on top of that, which was another carving. So all of these layers of art, created different paradigms and different conversations. So downtown Manhattan, there's a statue, or four statues, which are the pillars of the nations, China, Europe, America, Africa, or African American, European, US European, and Asian. Okay. Out of all of the statues, every statue is sitting upright. Every statue is sitting upright except the black woman. Why is this important? Because all of the people that come from the Statue of Liberty. Now, if you have a statue for liberty, a statue of liberty, right? You got a statue that represents liberty, enlightenment. Then you can have a statue that represents oppression, right? Hate. It's a curse. It's a spell that Dr. York spoke about, that Farrakhan speaks about, that whoever your teacher is, whoever your spiritual teacher or your spiritual guide is, they bring up this conversation of there's a spell. If you went to the Bible, you'll know there's a spell. There's a spell, right? So we keep hearing there's a spell. There's a spell. Yes, there is a spell, right? So whenever you have chances and opportunities to break the spell, I say, let's break the spell. Okay, so downtown, where you get off from seeing the Statue of Liberty, soon as you get off and you come and you walk, all of a sudden you see these three huge statues of these women. These women are supposed to be pillars of the nation, and the black woman is slumped over, sleeping, trying to held up by a lion, leaning on the Sphinx, right? And the other ones are up and focused and, getting secrets whispered in the air, and they're up representing their nation, except the Asian one. We could talk about that one later, but the main focus right now is that African statue, that more, that fourth, or that first pillar, so if you go from left to right, which everybody else on the planet does, she's the first pillar. She's the first pillar, because if you go from left to right, she's the first pillar, right? So She's the first pillar, and they have her sleeping. So all of the energy, all the pictures, all the people that marvel at this statue, that's like all the people that's looking, that they carry that energy in their conversations throughout the globe wherever they go, because the Statue of Liberty is an international symbol that people from all around the world comes to see. So when they come to see this and they get off, and then all of a sudden they see a statue of a black woman sleeping. And if you do any type of history at all, you do any type of research, you'll say, oh, shoot, the Statue of Liberty initially was going to be a black woman. It's all about freedom, the freedom, the liberation. And if you do any type of research, you'll realize that all of Manhattan was black at one time. So that was specifically going to be put there to say, okay, you guys won your freedom. Like, you won your freedom from this oppressive colonizer, right? So now, from that time and the whatever conversation, make them alter and change that and change the statue into, something else, but keep the chain. The chain is, at the foot of the Statue of Liberty. The chain is being kicked under her garment. With one foot, she's like trying to hide the shackles, hide the chain. She's trying to hide it while holding up the torch of enlightenment, right? So, however they came up with this decision, the decision was made. The statue no longer represents a black woman; it represents liberty, right? And the liberty is this face of which can be, it's a more than, 9 out of 10 is going to say it's a European woman. You got what I'm saying? So, so now, small accomplishment, a small goal, personal. I say, let's get this statue of this black woman that's downtown, get that removed. That shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be a problem to say, because that statue is attached to what they call the Indian Museum. Okay, so the Indian Museum. Wait a minute. I go inside this museum. All of the artifacts that they have in there are not from locally. It's not from Manhattan. It's from Ohio, Cleveland, Florida. It's from everywhere else except where the museum is at. Right? You go inside this museum. All the artifacts are from all over the place. Nothing from locally. You look around the area, and then you'll see all types of posters, or almost like tomb-like conversations throughout the city that says, okay, 3,000 years ago, we have pottery from 3,000 years ago from Africans in Manhattan. We found beads, we found pottery, we found bones, we found this. Now, exactly where the Indian Museum is at, that should be an African museum. But instead, they call it the Indian Museum, with no artifacts from Indians, all the artifacts from Africans. We even have the African burial ground over there. And, they put a federal building on top of that. You understand? So when Donald Trump has the conversation of, hey, listen, okay, it's up to the people to what they want to do. It's up to your local people. It's up to the local community, whether you want to take this down. And in some cases, it might be up to the federal government, right? Which is a whole nother government from the US government, So, and that's where some of your false flags also come from, because every one of these corporations has an agenda. And I always say, you have to keep your filters up. You have to be aware that, you're not in the clear. We're not in the clear, like, oh, everything is good. People love us all throughout the world. And, there is no heart machine. There is no this, there is no that, there is no this, there is, like, you got to realize, like, everything counts and everything is connected. So my conversation is, nothing has really changed at the undercurrent. On the surface, things may feel a little different. So I say, take advantage of your sail. Adjust your sail to get to make it to that other side. Adjust your sail for your children. Adjust your sail for for the to accomplish the goal of righteousness, of a more holistic life. because if you're able to clear up and clean up some of these programs, it will help everybody else in the long run. So, I just, of course, I'm gonna take a pause and just, get some feedback. If you are connecting with some of the conversation, let me know before I move on to the next part of the conversation. Okay. Hey, you hear me or not? Okay, so I'm gonna just keep going. If so, anyway, just so you can understand how they move and how the connection is. Okay, at the beginning of the year, you had Trump say, as Trump was being elected, you had the football players, and you had Kanye, you had all of these people going to visit him. So all of these certain names come up. So just recently, as you get the bread and circus of the McGregor Mayweather fight, which everybody's going to tune in, to this fight, and then you have, you got that initial, bread and circus that's going on now, but the people that visited him, was the Kanye, was the Jim Brown, was Rice. It was a few people that visited him. It was highlighted in sports people that was visiting him, right? So now you got all these sports figures that was visiting him, and you got a couple of other celebrities that came out to visit him in Trump Towers, and one of these people was Steve Harvey. So now recently, what you wound up getting happening was Jim Brown says something that kind of was an awkward thing to say about the Colin Kaepernick. Now again, him being a sports figure, that's his conversation, that he can have. I feel, it's my country, and Jim Brown, who's done a lot for our community, who said a lot for our community. And when I spoke to our brothers, on the other side of the sea, I was explaining, like, listen, I like, all of the accomplishments of Jim Brown, but I think they got to him on some level, and kind of sort of came to his defense. Now, again, I'm not directly attacking him, but what wind up happening is you got Jim Brown, who recently says, as Jim Brown is saying, I won't, disrespect the national anthem. I won't disrespect the flag. When as in reverse, the national anthem disrespects Jim Brown. It disrespects everything that Jim Brown ever stood for. Okay. So, again, the Colin Kaepernick conversation is not a conversation that I feel people outside of the NFL should have. I feel that, people protesting that is absurd. It's ridiculous to even be protesting that controlled environment as if you're going to make a change for that. You absolutely not. So as this conversation is happening with Jim Brown and all the Rice and all of these other people that came into play early on when Trump came into office, they have a hurricane, and the other character that came into play was Steve Harvey, and the name of the hurricane is Harvey, right? Hurricane Harvey. Initially, they was going to bomb Texas with it, but then they realized, hey, we got a bread and circus already going on, and that would lower. We probably won't get as many viewers because people would wind up being more focused on Texas, because Texas definitely have a lot of people, and a lot of family throughout the world connects with Texas. So they brought it down back to a category 1, which probably come less than that, because they definitely want those those views for the bread and circus for later on throughout the day, later on in the night with the McGregor fight, with the Mayweather fight. So how everything is all tied together, everything continues. It's a continued cycle that comes into play. Whatever your attention goes to is what they continue to bomb you with. So that's why my personal conversation is take advantage of the opportunity to accomplish whatever we could get accomplished. And the things that we could get accomplished, if they're saying, okay, we could get some of these statues removed, then, focus on the ones that, like the young woman was at Central Park, the doctor that was butchering, that was experimenting on Black women, the doctor that that was using black women to test out some of his, mad scientist ideas. You know, these black women were smart enough to go down there and say, listen, we take this down. You got what I'm saying? So there's things in New York that may not be Confederate, but are just as effective or just as oppressive to our people as a whole. Um, so it will behoove society, it will behoove all of us to take advantage. So, okay, maybe, you might not be in New York, maybe you might not be in Texas, maybe you might not be in Atlanta, et cetera, et cetera. But anytime you see, someone, or you see these people out there pushing for the removal of something, then, stand with them somehow, support it, press like, make a comment, just something, stand with them somehow, like support that. Now, I personally don't support vandalizing the statues. I personally don't support that. Why? Because in turn, you get yourself arrested, you get yourself put in the system, and you're doing, like, there's a legal way to go about all of these things. There's a legal way to have the conversation. There's a legal way to push everything into play, because just going out of your way to vandalize and Black Lives Matter and, and champion, some ridiculous with some, bought out group or whatever the case is, there's a legal way to do it. Don't, when things, as soon as you see too many people screaming Black Lives Matter, go the other way. It's like, I'm just telling you, when you hear certain keywords, you go the other way, right? So when you think about these statues, you got to think about Cecil Rhodes. And if you're familiar with the Scramble for Africa, then you got to think Cecil Rhodes. If you're familiar with the Blood Diamonds, you got to think Cecil Rhodes. If you're familiar with the De Beers diamond, if you're familiar with South Africa, Rhodesia, you familiar with neo-colonialism, if you're familiar with King Leopold, if you're familiar with all that, you got to think Cecil Rhodes, right? So why is Cecil Rhodes, how is Cecil Rhodes tied to the Confederates? How is this tied to any of these other statues? Because the Cecil Rhodes statue was sitting right there on the college campus. Cecil Rhodes statue was sitting like some giant symbol of fuck you niggas, right? So what did they do? What did the students do? When they got hip to what was going on, right? They said, okay, maybe you might not remove the Rhodes Scholarship Program as of yet, right? Maybe you might not remove that, but remove that statue. So it took them a minute. It didn't take them years and years and years, but it took them a minute to come to the realization, at least our generation can do this. So the next generation coming up don't have to see this sore thumb sitting right here, don't have to see this ridiculous symbol of oppression, for them to feel like, damn, we couldn't even get this fucking statue removed, right? So I personally feel we can do it. I personally feel if the students in South Africa, right, which was, in the area of what used to be Rhodesia, if I feel like if they can get the statue of Cecil Rhodes removed from Africa, right? They smartened up and they tightened up and they teamed up and got that shit removed. Black people, white people, they figured it out. Like, you know what? Get this shit out of here. If they can get it removed, then I say all of these smart geniuses that look at everybody else like, they too slow over there. They get everything late over here. Here we go. We're even later than everybody else on the planet at this point. Because if Africa and Europe and all these other places are starting to remove things because they know, it affects society, then here you come to us. Okay, I'll admit that propaganda. This is the capital of propaganda. This is New York is the capital of propaganda, which makes the United States, the capital, of false flags and fake media and fake news and all of those, things, all those the new methods of oppression. So, admittedly, we're at an advantage and disadvantage, because the advantage is you don't have to watch Fox News. As soon as you make a post, soon as you create a conversation online, and if you have more than 10 followers, if you have more than 2 followers, if you have more than 100 or 1,000, et cetera, You are now a media house. You are now Time Magazine. You are now the Daily News. You are now your local newspaper. You are now the media. Now, you're not waiting for CNN because you are now CNN yourself. So when CNN says this is the truth and you know it's a lie, and then you have another corporation saying those guys are fake news, let them attack each other. You stay out of it. You just continue to give the truth. You continue to hammer away the truth. Because while they're fighting with their own distractions, that's your opportunity to get you and your family in the clear from the distractions and collect the data on them. Any data that they give up to expose each other, you collect the data the same way they collect the data when we go busting each other up. You got what I'm saying? So now, if we have the opportunity to get the statue removed from downtown Manhattan or replaced, at least replaced, remove until you can replace it, which would possibly help break the spell that's on our people, on our black women. If you can break the spell, if that spell right there, because again, it's an international statue. It's an international national statue because if New York is the capital of capitalism, and corporatism, and propaganda and media, and everyone comes here and takes our toxic information, take our toxic program back to their country, back to their city, back to their state. They carry that energy with them, right? And that becomes a conversation. And that energy alone, that energy is what creates the spell, because that's how you put somebody under a spell. How do you put somebody under a spell? You repeat something over. And so when your children go to school, they don't teach them, to be critical thinkers and think outside the box. No, they tell them repetition over. And if you can repeat what they told you, then you are the champion. You are number one or number two, or you get 100 for repeating something that you get 100 for repeating a lie. So to avoid, and the spelling bee, et cetera, because it starts from early, and then what they say, how school is a pipeline to prison, et cetera, because it's a program. These are spells and programs that at this point, if you don't believe it, then you probably just good luck to you. Well, whatever your focus is, you got what I'm saying? Because right now we have the greatest opportunity to free some more minds, to help the children, um, to lift the burden from the children coming up, because it's only right. Because I feel that our generation dropped the ball with reparations. Our generation dropped the ball, because admittedly we were bombarded with a lot of, toxic information and programming, etc. But that doesn't mean that we can't, we can give up on each other. You got what I'm saying? I like, I like this guy, William Cooper. I like the information that he put out. I like the information that he put out. Peace, peace to the family, peace to everybody who's listening and tunes in, and is catching this conversation live. And we'll reload it, and I'll put up some more images. And pardon me for not being able to be visual right this second. My camera is jacked up because I didn't put tape over it, and I try to take it off and it's too late. But anyway, what I pretty much the conversation that we have right now is to give the children a chance, to give them an opportunity, and to lift up some of the burden, so they are not like looking at us like, what did you guys do? Like, how we look at our prior elders and some of our elders, like, yeah, you didn't, like, we're still behind enemy lines, and you didn't do anything to get us free, and you didn't, y'all didn't go hard enough. When I think they went really hard, but it was more of a physical game, because they killed Fred Ham, they was killing them. You know what I'm saying? They was actually like, oh man, they teaming up, they getting together. Like, whereas right now, it's more of a mind fuck. It's more of a mind. Everything right now was so mental that I'm like, we got too many geniuses. We got too many smart people. We got too many wordsmiths. We got too many masterminds out there. We got too many. We have the advantage. We built the pyramids. We have the advantage, So all we got to do is snap in. All we got to do is tune in. If we tune in to each other, and then and just tune out the propaganda, tune out their, the improper propaganda, as ID says, as Doc says. You got what I'm saying? If we tune that out and we get focused on creating our own proper programming, to get that left foot forward and protect your heart and in the right direction with the right knowledge, etc., then I think the generation coming up under us will be appreciative to what we do. So I say, okay, the small things we could do. One of my things is break that spell downtown Manhattan. That's one of my personal goals. If anybody see, some people say, "Oh, what you got playing next?" or whatever. Apart from my music, apart from my art, I say, hey, listen, the only thing that I can actually, because reparations was my main conversation. That hasn't really gone anywhere, but it's just dudes is weak out here. You know what I'm saying? And 8 years of weak-minded people, I can't, I can't just say, okay, because that was like the big lion's share. I was going for the lion's share for our people, right? And it's already deciphered and decoded. So anytime anybody really want to say, okay, how do you do this? Because there's a lot of great people that have functioning systems on, their idea for reparations, etc. But I done interacted with them, but they're not really, linking, they're not really connecting, because everybody's almost a little too selfish with it right now. So okay, so I'm gonna say, if that was a huge goal that I really say we came close to accomplishing, and we will accomplish. But at this point, I say let's accomplish a small goal. Small goal. They removed, they removed the Stonewall Jackson statue. They're starting to remove some of these Confederate statues. So I say that statue that has that black woman under the curse in New York City, in the capital of capitalism, the capital of propaganda. It's time to get that one taken down. You get that one taken down. You get that one taken down because people are looking at us from all over the world like, wow, this is cool for you guys? The black woman sleeping is leaning, looking all sloppy and crazy. And it's not like, they got her overweight, or she's, like she's just under a spell. Behind her is a witch. There's a witch with her hand on her back, with her face cloaked behind this woman. And behind the European statue, because there's 4 statues, and behind the European statue, there's what you would call so-called Indians, or Native Americans, or Mongols whispering in her ear, whispering to the European woman. And there's a white man on the side of her, bringing food to the European. Whereas behind the black statue, there's a woman, a cloaked witch that has the black woman under a spell, as the witch takes the information, takes our secrets from the Sphinx, because there's the black woman is leaning on a Sphinx. So I say that is a key spell that's on our people. And if we can get that we got to at least be able to get that taken down. At least. So when the next generation come up and say, what did you do? At least we got, we begin to chip away at the spell, so your mom's is more focused. So your girl is more focused. You understand? So society to help, to lift the burden on society. So that's what I'm saying. Like, as far as what's next and, what can come up next, it's a bunch of false flag attacks, that's only repeating prior attacks, but I think people should be smart enough not to fall for them. Because if you completely ignore the $23 billion that was awarded to Cynthia Robinson, then everything else is fog to you. If you ignore the fact that the LAPD had went out of their way to create a propaganda piece, DVD, a propaganda documentary. If you ignore the fact that the LAPD created a propaganda piece, the counter Miss Wallace from winning only $400 million in comparison to 23 billion. Now I'm gonna just try to say this one more time. Okay, 400 million. Miss Wallace, Biggie's mother, was going to be awarded $400 million for the wrongful death, in a participation at the LAPD that got Biggie Smalls murdered out in L.A. Now, apart from everything and all the other information and the pawns that was played and the games, et cetera, behind that is the feds, and in front of them are the local police. Trickles down. It's a top down agenda, right? So of course everybody's like, oh, I know the shooter, I know this person, yeah. But let's go to the top. So before you get to the feds, you got to go through LAPD. But the LAPD created a propaganda to prevent Miss Wallace from being awarded only $400 million, which is a lot to a lot of people, a lot to everybody. Yes. But there's a woman in Florida that was awarded not 400 million, not 23 million, 23 billion dollars. Billion with a B as in bank, right? Big bank. So she was awarded 23 billion. So think of all of the propaganda, all of the false flags that was created to prevent this woman from walking away with $23 billion. Now, I did a big series on that. You can go check it out. You can go back and just look at all the information. And that all ties from the Trayvon Martin to the Rudy Eugene to the Mike Brown to the Freddie Gray. It went all the way, it bled all the way into the top of this year, right? So everybody was, these corporations, the Tobacco Corporation is a corporation that's struggling to hold up at least number two, because Big Pharma has by far annihilated any competition with the pills. They got the streets on lock with the opioids. It's clear the Afghanistan war is, is to was to create these huge opium farms. You got what I'm saying? And for the Europeans or the white people, or for anybody that was like, yeah, and get them 9/11, Osama bin Laden, blah 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 blah. Their children are the ones that's mostly affected by them, cheering for these Afghanistan attacks. Their children are the ones that's being the most affected by the heroin and by the pills, because they can afford the pills, right? And when they can't afford the pills, they get hooked on the heroin. So all of these things are all tied together, and the big pharma is number one, and then the tobacco company. Now the tobacco company go back to the slave, captivity. It goes back to the cotton and the rice. It goes back to those days. It goes back. So they got old money, but they don't want to give it up. They don't want to give it up to a nigga. They don't want to give it up to a goddess. They don't want to give it up. So they lost 23 billion, and they came up with all these different little plans and ideas, and of how to figure out and trick the people into saying that the woman was wrong, et cetera, et cetera. So that's for the 23 billion. So now we're a year removed from the last chaos, because I feel from 2012 all the way to 2016, it was probably like the most ridiculous most ridiculous incidents that you can imagine, because they were all created incidents, and that's what Baba Dick Gregory was trying to expose to a lot of us. You got what I'm saying? Because at the undercurrent of all of these things, while we looking at some of these false flags, the undercurrent was the fluoridation. Early in the conversation, Knowledge was saying, hey, Baba Dick Gregory said, don't swallow the toothpaste. That was the first thing that he told him when, in the conversation, check the toothpaste and it says don't swallow because of the fluoride. So early on, back in the 60s, the early 60s, it was the same scenario. We was put in the same scenario. They created these race relation problems, and then they passed the bill to allow fluoride. Then they convinced the rest of society that fluoride was okay for society, although the doctors that were said to be doctors were not doctors at all. They just were actors with white coats on, where the actual doctors and actual statistics were saying, hey, listen, fluoride is no good for you. You know why? Because the people that's even working next to where they're getting the fluoride, their bodies are calcifying. So right now, there's a lot of people with neck issues and back issues, and you know, and it's because of the fluoridation. So I say remove the fluoride as a conversation, remove the vaccines as a conversation. Um, it's conversations like that that should carry the weight of social media. Those are the things that should be trending consistently. Those are the things that if you putting up, because there's people that friggin' live on social media. You got what I'm saying? Like I I wish I had that time to just do random stuff like that. I actually don't, but for those people who's like, yo, they post every 5 seconds, make sure out of the 10 posts that you post, at least three is, something for the people. Three is to push the agenda of clean water, clean food, clean air. Like get GMO. Don't. It's not that you don't want GMO labeling, but you don't want GMO. You want GMO banned. Ban GMO. You want GMO removed. You want it out of this country. You got what I'm saying? So these are the conversations that you got to focus on, because what they'll do is they'll create this entire elaborate smoke screen to distract you, and that's back in the Roman days, what they call a bread and circus. And that's what false flags, that's what this whole conversation is about, is staying focused and keeping your filters up to avoid being caught up in the traps of the bread and circus, for the Roman emperor, etc. Game so he can flip and get to a next country, as his empire crumbles. So to avoid being caught up in the crumbling empire, you have to make sure that you get what you hold up your end. So while theirs crumble, our end is up. Why? Because we have integrity. That's what the word integrity comes from. To be able to stand while everybody else who is false, everybody else who's living off of fallacies, who's making these things up. They have no foundation. We have a foundation. We have a reality. There was an age of perfection. There was an age of, where we honored our dead. We honored our living. Today, it's not a good day to die. Prince dies. Oh, he's dead. Oh, too bad. Next. Dr. Sebi's dead. Oh, too bad. Next. What's trending now? Dick Gregory's dead. Oh, next. You got what I'm saying? So now is not a good time to die. So I'm gonna say, live to your fullest, stay focused, and the whole thing is about protecting the future and protecting the integrity of the possibility of your children having it better than we have it, right? Because what the computers are doing, the computers is importing everything, is putting these programs of war. Three about 3 more years, about 3 more years, it'll be a full generation since 9/11, and the children will be 20 years old since 9/11, and guess what? They already setting you up for World War III. They, or a next big war, by pulling in. They're already creating the players. North Korea, Iran, again, China, Russia. They're already creating the stage. They're already set. You see, they're setting the stage. So I said the only thing that could have prevented that from happening is if we would have went more towards the reparations. We didn't do that. So now here we go. That's where they're going. So I'm like, damn, you about to just hand your children over, because when I was saying no to the draft, niggas went hard on me. Like I was saying no to oxygen. You know what I'm saying? So, but luckily, I was able to do what I could to hold it off. But then you got to realize, the clock is ticking on all of us. And I'm saying, our generation, at some point, we got to get real things done. Now, if you see the brothers out there with the Kaepernick, I'm trying, because I got some people out there that was out there, and I'm trying to be light on them. I'm trying not to go in on them. So I'm keeping it light. But I want you to keep that same energy that people was out there like, yeah, Kaepernick. Like, keep that same energy to get some of these statues removed, because pretty much that's the only thing that our generation is left that we can accomplish. There's a few other things, but I'm like, one thing at a time, because I'm almost convinced that the short attention span of our people You give them too much, they'll forget, because that'll leave openings for more false flags and for more other agendas. You got what I'm saying? So the statues is a major goal. Begin to continue to, like, keep on with that, you know. And again, when Trump says, you know, oh, George Washington was a slave owner, he's motherfucking right. Don't disagree with him. Don't say fuck Trump. Don't say that, because that does nothing for you. You always go to the issue. Always listen. Don't just go, oh, he's saying it, so I don't got to listen. Because right now they're making John McCain as a good guy. So that's how you know things are weird. You got what I'm saying? You started off the year marching for Margaret Sanger. So you know things are even weirder. You got what I'm saying? So don't just go following people blindly, you know, with the clown face. Don't just go following people blindly just because they're popular. Don't go following people blindly just because, you know, they articulate something the way. Listen, filter out all the nonsense and listen to what, you know, what they're presenting. Listen to their presentation. Listen to their content, the substance. Is there any substance to what they're saying? Is there any of that? That's what you got to pay attention to, because a lot of these guys, they just want to be seen. They're just attention whores. You got what I'm saying? So, and you know, you got a lot of people that work for the feds, you know, that's being given agendas to show up and be here, and the new guys look like us. The new guys look like us, you know, and because they may have a little more connections or a little more street cred, et cetera, people are like, yeah, I'm with him. Or, you know, or so you got all types of people that's just doing things for attention. So I'm saying, don't like take it as a grain of salt when these guys are talking about anything. Because if you follow people that consistently make poor decisions, in their lives from early on to adulthood. Now, that's important because you have adults. Once you, I think, damn, I'm going to say if you over 15, if you over 16, 17, 20, 21, 30, still making poor decisions. If you got somebody that's over, stop fucking cheering these people on. You understand? Stop cheering them on. Because if they consistently making poor decisions and you follow them, you creating a vacuum for everyone to go down the path of the next poor decision, off the cliff, into prisons, more poison, more toxicness. So again, let me pause out and see, if you got something, something to add, and let me check the chat, and let me, because I'm going on, but I definitely want to, open up and see where the conversation is going. I'll say, okay, so in closing.
Yeah. Hey, Royale, you went in too hard, man. You know what I'm saying? All you got was shout outs from the chat. So let me shout
Oh
the
man.
chat out real quick. Shout out to Nikki
Okay.
Justice. Excuse me. Shout out to Megalodon 415. To Israel Doctrine in the chat, my brother. To my skin is my sin. You know what I'm saying? So you ain't got nothing but love in the chat. You know what I mean?
All right, dope. All right, so yeah, just I'm glad to be able to chop it up with you. Get a little bit of time in,
Word. I'm about to get into Black August propaganda right now. You see what I'm saying? So this ain't none of this stuff happen haphazardly for anything, especially in Black August. You see what I'm saying? So I'm about to get into the propaganda campaign. Anybody wanted to speak about anything that my brother Rawyal was speaking on, or also if you have businesses, products, services, any of that, we're about to do the proper propaganda campaign right now. We actually like a little late, you know what I'm saying, but we're about to be on right now. The phone number to call in, 515-605-9360. Shout out anything you got coming up, anything you're working on that you can share with the family, because they be they be biting and all that, you know what I'm saying? So anything you can share with the family and wherever the people can find you at.
Hey, listen, I have 3 records available. And it's not about, oh, I'm gonna get rich from these records. Nah, it's that. It's just 3 records that I have available. It's simply just to get on the charts and to make an impact because, again, I'm against, I'm not against, the competition is multimillionaires. If you see, oh, you posting this video again, or this is why it's because I'm not a multimillionaire right this second. So my budget ain't the way my budget is set up. I have to run with the record or what I have until it actually, until it actually breaks. I give a lot of music away free. I give a lot of information away free. So I'm just asking, presenting you with 3 records that I have available right now. One is The Killing Gotta Stop. So if you type in Rawyal, The Killing Gotta Stop, that'll come up, whether it's Amazon, Tidal, whatever service that you use, you can get that record. The Until I Find You, whatever service that you use, you type in Rawyal and Till I Find You, you'll get that record. You type in hashtag, you put Rawyal, then hashtag, you'll get these records. All of these records are amazing records. One of my brothers out in Florida gave the records to the DJ. The DJ played all 3 records in his club, and the crowd went crazy with with each record. And he was like, "Yo, listen, you got to pay for these girls to dance because it was a strip club. You got to pay. You got to pay for these girls to dance." Now, yep, my records get played in strip clubs and all that. He plays the record. The girls just start dancing on their own. He snuck his little camera, so I even got a little bit of footage of that. So trust me, trust and believe. The music is there for you. I got merchandise, whether it's the shirts, the hats. Pardon me on my timing. I should have already flipped my website, royalnews.com, royalmusic.com. The merch page will be up, shortly, but at the same time, you can always inbox me on Facebook or Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter, Rawyal. You see the logo, and pretty much, hopefully, you know my face by now. And we can always connect. Whether the shirts, the music, the hats, the information, and pretty much that's it, brother. That's that. I'm just here just showing support to the to be a part of your show. Okay. Yep. He's like getting something else ready, but yeah, family. So until he come back, I'm gonna just keep promoting more stuff. Yeah. So check out the records, check out the music, check out the page, subscribe, comment, and to anybody that chopped it up or seen I'm making my own link video, the new edited version, the 2017 version. Anybody, I'm gonna definitely get time to chop up and respond to everybody because I've been on the road. I'm still on the road right now. Really, that's why I wasn't able to turn the camera on, but as soon as I get back settled, as soon as I get back settled, I will be reaching out and communicating with everybody a little more. I gotta, definitely got to chop it up with my brother Israel Doctrine. I got to chop it up with everybody, and thanks for anybody who gave me a birthday shout. I'm celebrating until September 16th. I'm taking up the whole New Age Zodiac thing. Yeah, I'm into that because that's just me. But so from August 10th, which is my birthday, all the way to September 16th is I'm celebrating in slow motion because when you can't get litty the way the way you want to the day of, you got to stretch it out and make everything count. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. So music wise, I got everything for you. The information you already know is there for you. If you go back and listen to this conversation, it's a lot of information stuffed in this. Hopefully we can get those crazy statues removed. I definitely co-sign that. The removal of the statues and whatever other conversation that you feel we need to talk about, I'm with it. So just reach out. I'm here. And again, thanks for the time, knowledge. If you are there,
We in the building. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate your
He's
time.
like, yeah.
I appreciate you breaking off these jewels. I
Thank you.
can't wait for the Royale as an artist. You know what I'm saying? Graphics that you're gonna put with this joint. You know what I mean? So y'all make sure y'all check out the finished work we just laid the groundwork for. This my brother. It's a long time coming. You know what I'm saying? So look out for False Flags 3. You know what I'm saying? We doing it like Saw. After a while, they couldn't use the Saw name no more, so they coming out with the Jigsaw this year. So y'all need to be paying attention to what's going on with that too. You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Another false flag for you. You know, uh,
that's right. That's
and
right.
bringing it how you bringing it, and it was only fitting.
Um, Megla was saying who gonna win the fight tonight. I think UFC wins on the strength of they're gonna get a new audience.
Right.
They this will be the largest audience that they get. Thank you for the happy birthday shout. And but yeah, UFC definitely. No matter what the results is, whether kind of gets laid out or lasts all 16, what lasts all 12 or 16 rounds. So what is this, like 1980? It's like, however
Now
long.
you gotta look at um, Rocky Marciano. You know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. That's
You got
what Mayweather is going for that 50th, like Rocky.
right. That's the real push. And what does that do to right versus a captive? You understand what I'm saying? Like that they're not the same. You know. They always say, "Hey, my family came over here 4 generations ago as poor immigrants." You understand what I'm saying? Like, hey,
Hmm.
we, we took another cruise line over this joint. You know what I'm saying? We took the good ship Jesus over here, and so many more. You know what I'm saying? Them vacation packages one way. So we gotta understand that. So and what that means in regards to uh, political powers and that infallible. Even we could go back to the Patriots. You see what I'm saying? Like there was only one NFL team that had a perfect season. You know, the Miami Dolphins. You see what I'm saying? So for them to be undefeated and what those colors represent and all of that, I knew they was gonna fall to the Giants. You said the Giants was gonna beat the Patriots. You see what I'm saying? Look at those two words right there. You see what I'm saying? But it's two halves of the same whole in regards to you know have been coming up. So the things are going out there in the entertainment. It's coded language in the news, and then the movies they putting it out blatant. You see what I'm saying? So definitely get into it. You know what I mean? Don't throw the papers away. The papers still report news. You know what I mean? Get you 6 or 7 different you know newspapers, and also go to alternate means of news. You see what I'm saying? They go that alt again. You know what I mean? Like there's real news out there, real news networks and things like that. You see what I'm saying? And take this time to begin to create spaces and conversations that are progressive and not divisive.
Right, right. It's only right. It's only right. That's. So I know you can't take that to the gambling table. So it's like, yo, so do I bet on Connor or do I bet on Mayweather? he's like he's like trying to go to the he's
Yeah.
at the betting booth and shit right now.
Hey,
Yeah, I
hey,
mean,
Vegas wins. That's who wins tonight. You know what I'm saying? The house
shit,
always
Vegas
wins.
wins.
You
Yeah,
see what I'm saying?
the house is going. Mayweather's winning, and the UFC is winning, and Vegas is winning because I see all type of girls out there with their Louis bags. Like, yeah, I'm in Vegas. I'm like,
Right.
okay, just to be close to the circus. You got what I'm saying? So either way, it's a lot of money, man. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of things happening. So it's going to be a good one, man. I personally, I'm not. I really didn't put too much in, mindset into this one. But if it go past 6, if it go past 5, if it go past 5 rounds, I'll give it to Mayweather. You know what I'm saying? Like within that 4 rounds, there's a danger zone. You know what I'm saying? Mayweather, you got to touch him. You know, and I don't think McGregor swings faster than Cotto. I don't think he swings faster than they definitely had all them bags out there. It's like I don't think Mayweather. I don't think Mayweather is not prepared to fight to fight somebody who hit hard. You know what I'm saying? Because shit, De La Hoya hit hard, Shane Mosley hit hard, but um, I think it's going to be good. But
It's
I
not about
just
boxing. It's about a
yeah,
fight.
nah. It was just it's just
You know what I'm
it was
saying?
make yeah. It was
Yeah, yeah.
the whole point was making the fight happen, and he made it happen. So either way, McGregor is being awarded by the UFC for luring uh, one of the greatest boxers of our time into a championship title fight, a prize fight. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things like that. Like when you can lure a champion, because he did, Mayweather's retired. He ain't got to pay attention to none of this shit. He's rich. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, but Mayweather seen it as like, oh,
Hey, we saw with
they might
Michael Jordan that you never retired. When they call your number, you show the fuck up. You said I'm
period point blank,
straight
huh?
up, straight
Period
up.
point blank.
Yeah, you show up, and you show up in what we tell you to show up in. You understand what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
to leave
Just
as a
get what you can
champion,
out of it. Yeah,
right?
but you see, the point is they come back and some people say, the point is negotiate what you
Right,
get something out of it for yourself. And they
right.
know, Mayweather, even though, they get pulled in, all right, well, give me some money. I come back. I already know you're gonna make me come back. You want me to come back. You forcing me to come back because I'm still the biggest draw. So if I'm gonna come back, let's get this money right.
This
And they
is
got the money right.
this
So
is
fuck it.
Apollo, Creed, and Rocky.
Shit, I wouldn't even put it on
Yeah,
that. It's just
man.
this
I
is
mean,
just
the theater that's involved in it. You see what I'm saying? This is all theater. You know, this is how we get the
yeah,
false flags. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
The camera and the angles and all that stuff and all that. Like, how
yeah.
many people are gonna die today? You see what I'm saying? How many young children are gonna be in this trafficking and all these other things that's going on? So when your attention when they're using misdirection, like with the Super Bowl and all these other things that they are championing, you see what I'm saying? I said it's not about boxing; it's about a fight. You see
hmm
what I'm saying? So who's really fighting? Who's in the ring? You see what I'm saying? And what's at stake? You start to look at things like that. It's like, okay, we're asking, critical analysis, devoid and divorcing our emotional attachment to the characters that are there. It's the world stage. You understand what I'm saying?
hmm
This is the world stage because like he beat Ricky Hatton's ass in front of the whole Coliseum was chanting. You understand what I'm saying? Like
hmm
he you said I'm saying like they were chanting and he was beating Ricky Hatton's ass and he silenced the entire Coliseum. So it's not about boxing. So what are we fighting for? What agendas are going to be put in place and who's going to die? Again, back to that. Who is going to die as a result of it? You see what I'm saying? Because somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. Somebody has to win and somebody has to lose because it's a fight. You see what I'm saying? So we can get, we're not topical. So we're not looking at it from a standpoint of just somebody going into the ring and whether or not Justin Bieber is walking down to the ring and all this whole foolishness. What are the fight songs and all of that? All these things are props. You see what I'm saying? The real show is going on while the show is going on. You see what I'm
hmm
saying? So we looked at, Robert Dick Gregory's death being overshadowed by Jerry Lewis. The fight is still on. You see what I'm saying? So we going back to that Menace to Society. The hunt is on and you're the prey.
hmm
You see what I'm saying? Like the hunt is on and you're the prey. So you got that scene in Menace to Society because you are still a menace to society. You see what I'm saying? And then you got, Charles S. Dutton in the next film, Trespass, Hunting Ice-T. You see what I'm saying? A vagrant that they got off of the street. They used to recruit these vagrants off the street and play these war games. It goes back to the most dangerous game. You see what I'm saying? It's not the Cape Buffalo, it's the people. So hunting down people and killing them. That same type of mentality. Real people. You see what I'm saying? And the most detrimental being on the planet to this system, to bring the system down, the highest potential, the public enemy number one. fighting? You understand what I'm saying? Who's
Hmm.
fighting? To the point where if this is the place where you're supposed to be at, why they not rooting for you? Not rooting for you. You see what I'm saying? And then they talking to we go back to the Irish. We go back to that history and what 1492 really meant. You see what I'm saying? You put all of this together and you got it all in the ring. And oh my, they had the old dash bomber. You see what I'm saying? They had the old dash bomber going on, and they not Floyd. You see, nah. And he money is green. That's Irish. You understand what I'm saying? All of it goes together like this. This is nothing that like start peeling back the layers and really see what's happening. You see what I'm saying? You really falling for the false flags. You see what I'm saying? You really getting caught up in the glitch of the matrix. You see what I'm saying? Like yo, that
Right.
was crazy. Abu,
Hey,
what did you see? You see what I'm saying? Like what did you see? Like two cats, man. You said
hey,
two
listen.
black cats.
This is what I'd like to sum it up to. You go like this. You got the people are watching two prize fighters, and the corporations, these, go at it. So the more energy that's drawn into watching street fights, watching regular fights, the more that's just the algorithm of they ready for war. So then you got, because a fight to a Rothschild or to a Rockefeller or to a Bilderberg, to like a regular fist fight that's cute. You know what I'm saying? I want to see your country fight that country, your corporation fight that corporation. You got what I'm saying? So that's really what everything is building up to. Is building up to see that corporation fight that corporation, and who's involved in that? It's the people that will be defending this corporation versus that corporation. So that's why it's like it's always a tricky thing when it comes to the fights and unfortunately with the way social media is shit, those be the ones that get the most views. You know what I'm saying? The nonsense so that's why I say just be smart about tonight is just pure entertainment, but at the same time is they take it into uh they will be accessing like how many people and what state, what country, where they're at watching this thing. But on a lower level, the social media fights and all of that, like they keeping all of those things in consideration. Why? Because they're looking like, okay, when this corporation versus this corporation, they're trying to really get people riled up for the next big fight, where it's going to be a lot more losers than winners or whatever. So again, I thank you for your time, man. I appreciate you, you opening the platform to have a conversation, brother.
Word, man. It's all love, man. Salute to you and everything that you're doing, everything that you have done, and everything that you will do, man. Keep a lookout for my brother, man, Royale. This is an artist, man. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Again, salute to the family, peace to the family. Thanks for tuning in. And you already know we put the Royale spin on it and post it back up. But if you want to go back and listen to the audio, is going to be available for you right now.
All right, peace, fam. Don't forget to check us out on Do Knowledge Radio right now. And then later on today, third show, you know what I'm saying? 3-0, African Liberation School on Get This Wisdom Live. Peace.
Hmm. Peace.